The elevator door slid shut, sealing me in a steel box with the man who nearly destroyed my career. His cologne, sharp and cedar-laced, filled the small space, and I gripped my briefcase tighter, refusing to meet his eyes. 5 years ago, Ethan Carter was the intern who sabotaged my biggest deal now. He was my husband, and I still didn't know if I could forgive him. My name is Julian Hayes, and at 28, I'm the youngest senior associate at Caldwell & Pierce, a cutthroat advertising firm in Manhattan. Back then, I was a rising star, clawing my way up from a small-town kid with big dreams to a corner office with a view. Ethan, barely 22, was the new intern, bright, ambitious, and dangerous. His blonde curls and easy smile hid a ruthlessness I didn't see coming until it was too late. It was 2020, and I'd spent months pitching a campaign for Lux Vibe, a luxury fashion brand that could have cemented my place at the firm. The presentation was flawless: mood boards, market analytics, a tagline that sang. I'd poured my soul into it, staying up nights, skipping meals, dreaming of the moment I'd win over the client. Ethan was assigned to my team, tasked with data support. I barely noticed him, another eager kid fetching coffee and running copies. But he noticed me, and he wanted what I had. The night before the pitch, I found my files corrupted. Slides were scrambled, data swapped with nonsense numbers. I stayed up all night rebuilding, but the damage was done. At the meeting, I fumbled. My confidence shot. Lux Vibe passed, and my rival, Claire, swooped in with a backup pitch that mysteriously echoed mine. I was humiliated, demoted to grunt work, my reputation in tatters. Weeks later, an IT audit revealed Ethan had accessed my laptop. He'd swapped the files, fed Claire my ideas, and watched me crash. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. "You were untouchable," he said, his voice low, eyes blazing. I wanted to prove I could play the game better. He was fired, and I thought I'd never see him again. But fate is a cruel playwright. 2 years later, at a crowded industry gala, there he was, taller, sharper, his charm now polished to a lethal edge. He worked for a rival firm, climbing fast. I wanted to hate him, but his apology, raw and unguarded, cracked something in me. I was a kid, Julian. I was wrong. Let me make it up to you. Against every instinct, I let him buy me a drink. That night stretched into weeks, then months. Coffee dates turned into late-night talks, his guarded smiles giving way to something real. Ethan was brilliant, flawed, and achingly human, a man who'd made a mistake and was desperate to atone. I fought it, but I was falling. Now, in this elevator, heading to a client dinner where we'd pitch as a team, I felt the weight of our past. His hand brushed mine, and I flinched, the old betrayal still sharp. "Julian," he whispered, "we're not them anymore." I wanted to believe him, but trust is a fragile thing, and ours was built on ruins. The elevator dinged, and we stepped into the glittering restaurant. Heads turned: Julian Hayes and Ethan Carter, the power couple of advertising, married 6 months ago in a quiet ceremony. No one knew our story, the jagged edges beneath the polished surface. Tonight, we'd pitched together for the first time, and I wondered if I could trust the man who once broke me. The client, a tech mogul named Vanessa Reed, greeted us with a sharp smile. "I've heard you two are unstoppable," she said, her eyes flicking between us. "Let's see it." Ethan's hand grazed my back, a silent anchor. I took a breath, opened my laptop, and began. Our pitch was electric, a seamless dance of ideas. I laid out the vision bold: inclusive branding for Vanessa's AI startup. Ethan backed me up, His data slides flawless, his charisma filling the gaps. We were in sync, like we'd never been enemies. Vanessa leaned forward. Hooked. This is fresh, she said. I want more. As we left, Ethan's hand found mine, and this time, I didn't pull away. But in the cab ride home, doubt crept in. Could I love someone who'd betrayed me? Could he love me without breaking me again? At our apartment, Ethan kicked off his shoes, his tie loose, his eyes soft. You were incredible tonight, he said, pulling me close. I wanted to melt into him, but the past lingered like a shadow. Ethan, I said, my voice tight. Why did you do it? Back then. He froze, then sat on the couch, running a hand through his curls. I was nobody, he said. A kid from Jersey with no connections, no money. You were everything I wanted to be: confident, brilliant, untouchable. I thought if I could bring you down, I'd prove I belonged. His voice cracked. I hated myself for it. Still do. I sat beside him, the silence heavy. I don't know if I can forget, I admitted. He nodded, his eyes glistening. Then let me spend every day earning you back. That night, as he slept beside me, his breath steady, I stared at the ceiling. Love was a battlefield, and ours was scarred. But maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild. The next morning, sunlight streamed through our apartment windows, catching the dust motes in a lazy dance. Ethan was already up, humming off-key in the kitchen, the smell of coffee pulling me from bed. I watched him, shirtless, flipping pancakes with a boyish grin, and for a moment, I forgot the past. But memory is a stubborn ghost, and mine whispered of betrayal. Work consumed us. Vanessa's project was a beast-tight deadlines, high stakes, and a budget that made my head spin. We spent days in our firm's sleek conference room, whiteboards scrawled with ideas, takeout containers piling up. Ethan was relentless, his mind a steel trap for details. He'd catch my eye across the table, offering a small smile, and I'd feel the pull love tangled with caution. Our team noticed. You two are like a married couple, our colleague Sam teased, oblivious to the irony. Ethan laughed, but I tensed. Marriage was new, fragile, a leap we'd taken after a whirlwind year of dating. I'd proposed on a whim, in Central Park, under a canopy of cherry blossoms. He'd said yes, tears in his eyes, but the ring on my finger felt heavier some days than others. One night, working late, I found an old email from 2020. Ethan's name was in the thread, a casual note to Claire, check the Lux Vibe data. You'll like what you see. My stomach twisted. I'd never seen this proof he'd not only sabotaged me, but fed my work to her. I slammed my laptop shut, my pulse racing. When Ethan walked in, carrying coffee, I couldn't hold it in. You didn't just mess with my files, I said, voice low. You handed Claire my entire pitch. His face fell, the coffee cups trembling in his hands. Julian, I don't. I snapped. You played me for a fool. I stormed out, the city's noise swallowing my thoughts. I walked aimlessly, past neon signs and honking cabs, until I ended up at the Hudson River, the water black and restless. I loved him, but love wasn't enough if trust was a lie. He found me an hour later, his coat thrown over his sweater, his breath visible in the cold. I didn't know how to tell you, he said, his voice raw. I was scared you'd never forgive me. Then why marry me? I asked, my voice breaking. Why build this life if you knew it could collapse? Because I love you, he said simply. I've loved you since I saw you fight for that pitch, even after I ruined it. You were unbreakable, Julian. I wanted to be near that. I wanted to scream, to shove him away, but his eyes held me a pen, pleading, stripped bare. I need time, I said finally, and he nodded, stepping back. The next week was a blur. We worked together, professional but distant. Our pitches to Vanessa sharper than ever. She loved our dynamic, unaware of the fault lines beneath. At home, we slept in the same bed, but I kept to my side, the space between us a chasm. Then came the gala for Vanessa's company launch. We arrived arm in arm, the picture of success, but my heart was a storm. Ethan wore a navy suit, his curls tamed, his smile practiced. I caught women and men stealing glances, and pride warred with my anger. He was mine, but was he? During the event, Vanessa pulled me aside. You and Ethan, she said, sipping champagne. You're magic together. But something's off. Fix it, Julian. Talent like yours deserves harmony. Her words hit hard. She didn't know our history, but she saw the cracks. Later, on the rooftop, Ethan found me staring at the skyline. I'm trying, Julian, he said. I'll do anything to make this right. I turned to him, the city lights reflecting in his eyes, and felt the weight of my choice. Could I let go of the past for a future with him? I don't know how to trust you, I admitted. He reached for my hand, his touch warm. Then let me show you, he said. Every day, for as long as it takes. The weeks that followed were a tightrope walk. Ethan tried small gestures, like leaving my favorite coffee on the counter or texting me midday with a silly meme. I wanted to soften, but the email I'd found burned in my mind. Trust wasn't a switch I could flip. At work, we were unstoppable. Vanessa's campaign was taking shape, a sleek, inclusive brand for her AI platform, blending tech with human connection. Our team leaned on us, and we delivered Ethan with his razor-sharp analytics, me with creative vision. But every late night, every shared glance, carried an undercurrent of our unresolved past. One evening, as we finalized a storyboard, Sam dropped a bomb. Heard Claire's back in town, he said casually, scrolling his phone. She's pitching for Zenith now. My blood ran cold. Claire, the woman who'd capitalized on my failure, who'd used Ethan's betrayal to climb. Ethan's face went pale, his pen frozen midair. You okay? Sam asked, oblivious. I nodded, but my mind raced. Claire's return felt like a ghost from 2020, stirring up everything I'd tried to bury. That night, I couldn't sleep. Ethan lay beside me, his breathing uneven, like he knew I was spiraling. The next day, I dug into Claire's pitch. Zenith was a rival firm, and word was she was gunning for Vanessa's account. Her strategy mirrored ours too close for coincidence. She's doing it again, I told Ethan, shoving my laptop toward him. She's stealing our ideas. He studied the screen, his jaw tight. This isn't her, he said finally. It's me. I shared some concepts with a contact at Zenith last year, before we got married. I didn't know they'd pass them to her. The room spun. You're still sabotaging me, I whispered, my voice breaking. He shook his head, desperate. It was a mistake, Julian. I was trying to network, not hurt you. I swear. I didn't know what to believe. I left, crashing at a friend's place, ignoring Ethan's calls. The city felt too small, every corner a reminder of him. I loved him, but love felt like a trap, pulling me back to a man who kept cutting me open. Vanessa called a meeting, her tone urgent. "Zenith's pitching tomorrow," she said. "I need your best work. Now." I glanced at Ethan. His eyes shadowed, and nodded. We had to win, not just for the account, but for us. We worked through the night, our tension fueling the pitch. I poured everything into a tanger. Love. Fear crafting a campaign that was raw and real. Ethan matched me, his data tying it together like a bow. By dawn, we had something extraordinary, but I felt hollow. At the pitch, Claire was there, all sharp smiles and confidence. She presented first, her ideas a pale echo of ours. When our turn came, I took the lead, my voice steady, Ethan at my side. Vanessa's eyes lit up, and I knew we'd won before she said it. "You've got the contract," she said, shaking my hand. "You two are something else." Outside, Ethan grabbed my arm. "I'm not that kid anymore," he said, his voice thick. "I'll never stop proving it." I looked at him, the man I'd married, and saw something new regret. Yes, but also a fierce determination. For the first time, I wondered if I could let go. That night, we sat on our couch, a bottle of wine between us. "Tell me everything," I said. "No more secrets." He nodded, and as he spoke about his fears, his mistakes, his love for May felt the first cracks in the wall I'd built. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet, but it was a start. Winning Vanessa's account should have been a triumph, but it felt like a hollow victory. Ethan and I moved through our days like dancers avoiding each other's steps close, but never touching. I wanted to bridge the gap, but the weight of his past mistakes, and now this new revelation about Zenith, kept me tethered to doubt. Work became our refuge. The campaign demanded long hours, and we threw ourselves into it, crafting ads that spoke to connection, identity, and hope. Ethan's ideas were brilliant, his passion undeniable. Watching him present to the team, his voice steady, his eyes alight, I remembered why I'd fallen for him. But love wasn't the problem, trust was. One afternoon, I found a note tucked into my laptop bag, written in Ethan's messy scrawl, "I'm still here, fighting for us." It was simple, but it hit me hard. I folded it carefully, slipping it into my wallet like a talisman. Maybe he was trying, but I needed more than words. Our first big campaign event was a pride festival in Brooklyn, a vibrant chaos of color and music. Vanessa's brand was a sponsor, and we were there to unveil our first Ada video celebrating queer love, bold and unapologetic. As the crowd cheered, Ethan's hand found mine, squeezing gently. I let it linger, the warmth grounding me. Afterward, we wandered the festival, the air thick with summer heat and laughter. A drag queen in a glittering gown pulled us into a photo booth, and for a moment, we were just Julian and Ethan, laughing, our guards down. The strip of photos, Ethan's arm around me, our smiles genuine, felt like a glimpse of what could be. But reality crashed back. At the office, I overheard a junior associate whispering about Claire. She'd been sniffing around, asking questions about our campaign. My paranoia flared. Was Ethan involved? I hated myself for thinking it, but the question gnawed at me. That night, I confronted him. "Are you talking to Claire?" I asked, my voice sharp. He looked stunned, then hurt. "No, Julian." "God, no. I cut ties with her years ago." He pulled out his phone, showing me his call logs, his emails empty of her name. "I'm done hiding things," he said. "Ask me anything." I wanted to believe him, but doubt was a habit. "I need to know you're all in," I said. "No more surprises." He nodded, his eyes steady. I'm yours, Julian. Always. The next day, Vanessa called us to her office. There's a leak, she said, her voice cold. Someone's feeding our campaign details to Zenith. My heart sank. I glanced at Ethan, his face ashen. It's not me, he said quietly, but Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Prove it, she said. We spent days auditing our systems, tracing emails, checking access logs. Ethan worked tirelessly, his focus unshakable. I watched him, torn between admiration and fear. If he was innocent, why did this keep happening? If he wasn't, could I survive another betrayal? Late one night, we found Ida, junior designer, bribed by Claire, had been slipping files to Zenith. Ethan's relief was palpable, but mine was tempered. You're clear, I told him, but my voice was flat. He reached for me, but I stepped back. I need space, I said, and his face fell. At home, I sat alone, staring at the photo booth strip. We looked happy, but happiness felt like a lie. I loved Ethan, but love without trust was a house of cards. I didn't know how to rebuild, but I knew I had to try for him, for us, for the life we'd promised each other. The leak was plugged, the designer fired, and Vanessa's campaign was safe, but the fallout lingered. Ethan and I were a team at work, seamless and professional, but at home, the silence grew louder. I'd catch him watching me, his eyes searching, but I didn't know how to meet him halfway. One morning, he left a post-it on the fridge, dinner tonight. Just us. I stared at it, my chest tight. I wanted to say yes, to fall back into the ease we'd had, but fear held me back. Still, I texted him. Okay. 7 p.m. His reply, a heart emoji, felt like a lifeline. We met at a small Italian place in the village, the kind with checkered tablecloths and candles dripping wax. Ethan looked nervous, his fingers tapping the menu. I want us to start over, he said, his voice low. Not as enemies, not as colleagues, but as us. I sipped my wine, searching for words. I don't know how to let go, I admitted. Every time I try, I see that email, those files, your name tied to Claire. He winced, but didn't look away. I can't undo it, he said. But I can be better. I am better. The conversation stretched late, raw and unfiltered. He told me about his childhood absent parents, a scholarship kid always proving himself. I shared my own small town, Ohio, hiding who I was until college. We'd both fought to get here, but I'd built walls where he'd burned bridges. As we walked home, the city buzzing around us, he took my hand. I don't expect you to forget, he said. But I'll keep showing up, Julian. For you. I didn't pull away this time, and that felt like progress. Work pushed us forward. Vanessa's campaign was rolling out, billboards popping up across Manhattan, our ads trending online. The queer community embraced it, and I felt proud not just of the work, but of us. Ethan and I were building something meaningful, together. But Claire wasn't done. She called me, her voice smooth as silk. Julian, let's talk. No games. Against my better judgment, I met her at a midtown cafe. She was polished, confident, but her eyes were sharp. You and Ethan are good, she said. But he's not who you think. He's playing you, just like he played me. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? I asked. She leaned in, her smile cold. He used me to get to you back then. He's ambitious, Julian. He'll do anything to win. I left, her words looping in my head. Was she lying, stirring trouble? Or was there truth I couldn't face? That night, I didn't go home. I crashed at a hotel, ignoring Ethan's texts. I needed clarity, but all I had was doubt. The next morning, he was at my office, eyes red. "You saw Claire," he said, not a question. I nodded, bracing myself. "She's lying," he said, his voice fierce. "I used her. Yes, but it was never about you. It was about me, proving I could compete. I was wrong, and I've paid for it every day since." I wanted to believe him, but her words clung like damp rot. "I need proof," I said. He nodded, pulling out his laptop. "Then let's find it." Together, we dug through old emails, chats, anything linking him to Claire. Hours later, we found no proof he'd lied. No proof he hadn't. "I'm not perfect," he said, exhausted. "But I'm yours." I looked at him, the man who'd hurt me, who loved me, and felt the first stirrings of trust. It wasn't solid, but it was there. The campaign's success was undeniable. Vanessa's brand was everywhere, our ads sparking conversations online and off. At a celebratory dinner, she toasted us, calling us the heart of this project. Ethan's smile was proud, but his eyes kept finding mine, searching for something I wasn't sure I could give. At home, we were trying. We cooked together, watched old movies, laughed more. But Claire's words lingered, a splinter I couldn't pull out. I didn't tell Ethan about the doubts she'd planted. They felt too fragile, too dangerous. Instead, I watched him, looking for cracks in his story, hating myself for it. One evening, he suggested a weekend trip upstate. Just us. No work, no past, he said, his voice hopeful. I agreed, desperate for a reset. We rented a cabin in the Catskills, the air crisp with autumn. The first night, by the fire, he pulled me close. "I know you're scared," he whispered. "I am too. But I want this more than anything." I kissed him, the firelight dancing on his face, and for the first time in weeks, I felt whole. We talked for hours, about dreams, fears, the future. He wanted kids someday, a family. I hadn't thought that far, but his vision warmed me. Maybe we could build something new. Back in the city, reality hit hard. Claire emailed me a screenshot of an old chat from Ethan, dated months after his firing, suggesting they team up on a pitch. My heart sank. I showed it to him, my hands shaking. "This was before us," he said, his voice urgent. I was lost. "Julian." I never followed through. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice raw. He looked down, ashamed. I thought it didn't matter. It was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was another secret, another crack. I walked out, needing air, needing space. The city felt suffocating, its pulse mocking my own. I ended up at the Pride Festival grounds, now empty, the photo booth strip in my pocket. I looked at our smiling faces, wondering if they were a lie. Ethan found me, his coat dusted with early snow. "I'm done with secrets," he said, his voice breaking. "I'll tell you everything. Always. If you'll stay." I looked at him, the man I'd married, and saw the boy who'd hurt me, the man who loved me, all at once. "I want to believe you," I said, tears falling. "But I need time." He nodded, stepping back, giving me space I didn't want but needed. The next day, Vanessa called us in. She'd heard rumors of Claire's tactics, and she was furious. "You two are my team," she said. Don't let her break you. Her words echoed Ethan's, and I wondered if I was the one breaking us. That night, I went home. Ethan was there, cooking, his eyes hopeful. I took his hand, my heart pounding. No more lies, I said. Promise me. He did, and for the first time, I believed him not fully, but enough to try. Winter settled over New York, blanketing the city in quiet. Ethan and I were rebuilding, piece by piece. We set no secrets, no assumptions. He shared his email passwords, his phone, his past. It felt invasive, but it was a start. I didn't want to police him, but I needed to know he was real. Work kept us grounded. Vanessa's campaign was a hit, and we were her stars. She offered us a new project, a global expansion, and we dove in. Late nights became our rhythm, ideas flowing between us like they had in the beginning. But now, there was a new layer: trust, fragile but growing. One night, as we walked home through a snowy Central Park, Ethan stopped under the same cherry blossom tree where I'd proposed. I want to renew our vows, he said, his breath visible in the cold. Not because we're broken, but because we're stronger now. My heart caught. Ethan, I started, but he held up a hand. Think about it, he said. No pressure. I nodded, the idea settling like snow, soft but heavy. Claire's shadow lingered. She'd backed off after Vanessa's warning, but I heard she was pitching for another big client, her tactics as ruthless as ever. I didn't care she was the past, but her presence reminded me how far Ethan had come, how far we both had. At home, we planned the vow renewal, small and intimate, just us and a few friends. I found myself smiling more, laughing at Ethan's terrible puns, falling back into love. But doubt still flickered, especially when I saw him on calls, his voice low, his words vague. Was it work, or something else? One evening, I overheard him on the phone, mentioning a surprise. My stomach dropped. I confronted him, my voice sharp. Who were you talking to? He looked startled, then smiled. My sister, he said, showing me his phone. I'm planning the vow renewal. It's a surprise for you. Relief flooded me, but so did shame. I'm sorry, I said, my voice small. He pulled me close. Don't be, he said. I earned your doubt. I'll earn your trust, too. The vow renewal was set for spring, under the cherry blossoms. As the date approached, I felt lighter, like I was shedding the weight of 2020. Ethan was relentless notes, small gifts, late-night talks about our future. He was all in, and I was starting to believe I could be, too. But the night before the ceremony, I found an old USB drive in a drawer, labeled Lux Vibe 2020. My hands shook as I plugged it in. It was my original pitch, every slide, every note, untouched. And there, in the metadata, was Ethan's name, timestamped the night it was corrupted. I sat there, staring at the screen, the past roaring back. He'd sworn he'd told me everything, but this felt like a lie by omission. I didn't know if I could face him, not when we were so close to a new beginning. I didn't sleep that night. The USB drive sat on the table, a silent accusation. Ethan was asleep, his face peaceful, unaware of the storm in my chest. I wanted to wake him, to demand answers, but I couldn't. Tomorrow was our vow renewal, a promise to move forward. Could I, knowing this? Morning came, gray and soft. Ethan woke early, humming as he set out coffee, oblivious to my turmoil. I held the USB drive, my fingers cold. We need to talk, I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. His smile faded as I showed him the drive. It's the Lux Vibe pitch, I said. Your name's on it. The night it was ruined. He froze, his eyes wide. Julian. He stopped, running a hand through his hair. I didn't know it was still out there. I swear, I told you everything I did. I accessed your files. I messed them up. I didn't keep a copy. Then why is this here? I asked, my voice breaking. He looked at the drive, then at me, his eyes raw. I don't know, he admitted. Maybe I backed it up. Panicked. Forgot. I was a mess back then. Julian. I'm not that person now. I wanted to believe him, but the drive felt like a final test. I can't do this if there's more, I said. No more secrets. He nodded, stepping closer. There's nothing else, he said. I promise. Let me prove it today, under those trees. I looked at him, the man who'd broken me, the man who'd rebuilt me, and made a choice. Okay, I said. But this is it, Ethan. No more. He pulled me into his arms, and I let him, the drive falling to the table. The vow renewal was perfect. Under the cherry blossoms, pink petals drifting, we stood hand in hand. Our friends smiled, Vanessa among them, her eyes warm. I spoke first, my voice steady. Ethan, you hurt me once, but you've spent every day since making it right. I choose you, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. His vows were simple, raw. Julian, I was lost until you. I'll spend my life earning your trust, your love. I'm yours. We kissed, the crowd cheering, and for the first time, I felt free. That night, back home, we danced in our living room. No music, just us. The USB drive was gone. I'd thrown it out. A final letting go. Ethan's arms were warm, his breath soft against my neck. I love you, he whispered, and I believed him. Years later, we'd look back on this, our scars, our fights, our love. We'd build a life, maybe kids, a home filled with laughter. The past would fade, not gone but softened, a reminder of how far we'd come. Ethan was once the intern who tried to ruin me, but now, he slept beside me every night, and that was enough.